We all hear it in the news about Chat GPT and other AI tools, how these tools are going to change our lives. They're going to help our businesses grow. They're going to help our marketing be more efficient. They're going to streamline our processes in-house to save us time and money. But how do we do this? Whoever gives us those practical steps on how to get it implemented into our specific brands, like a B2B brand, like an industrial brand that has to be handled than other types of company. This is what I'm going to be talking about today. My name is Donna Peterson, and you are listening to the B2B Marketing Podcast. I'm going to be giving you advanced Chat GPT strategies that B2B brands can implement. I'm going to give you real-world applications that we have used for our clients. Now, I'm going to start talking about some advanced ways of using Chat GPT. So if you need those basics, go back to our previous episode where we talked about what is Chat GPT. How do I use Chat GPT? And why should B2B brands be looking at Chat GPT? So if you want to get the basics or the groundwork, or maybe even listen to it again, please go back to the previous episode so that you can listen to it. As we discussed in that last episode, one of the great ways to use Chat GPT is by researching. Now, I talked about researching it for pieces of equipment, but also you need to research your specific audience. The more you know and understand about your audience, the better your promotions can be. People don't want to be getting a ton of general promotions. They won't respond to it. That's when people say, oh, well, marketing, email, sales doesn't work. Well, that's because you're being too generic. You now have to really fine-tune what you're saying to people so that they see it and they're like, oh my goodness, this is what I need. They're speaking directly to me. This is what I need to accomplish today, or this is the challenge I am having. But in order to do this, it takes time to do the research. But I will tell you, if you take the time to do the research, it will pay off. So the ways that ChatGPT can help is just by looking around, asking about your audience. If you've got a certain piece of equipment, what job title of an individual uses that equipment? What other equipment do they have in that facility to complement that piece of equipment? How much time do they need in their day? Are there specific geographical areas that are more concentrated in that specific industry? And then, of course, getting any statistics about an industry can definitely help you get your marketing messages or your sales message opened. One of the real-life case studies I did with a client it was with Kohler, Germany. And of course, now everyone is talking about environmental issues, sustainability. How can the equipment help with that? Well, Kohler's been doing this since like 2012. They have the great sustainable equipment. So we went online, we saw what their audience was interested in. We saw that having things that are environmentally conscious and saving energy was important to them. So of course, here they had the equipment anyway, but we needed to get the messaging out. We needed to do a series of informative social media posts. We needed to send out some emails explaining how the equipment saved them time, saved them energy. This is one of those things you find out what is a hot topic for your audience, and then you make sure your marketing answers it. One warning, if you're going to do that, make sure you walk the talk. Don't be making this stuff up just so that you get people to open your email, because they'll realize it after a while you're not telling the truth. So be authentic with what you're saying. Talk about your actual pieces of equipment. Talk about exactly what you did and what your piece of equipment or your product or service can help them. A lot of you out there are talking to manufacturers. Manufacturers have very lean teams. If you want them to pay attention, boom, get to the point. What is in it for them? How can it solve their problems or help them achieve their goals? So you've got to really know and understand their audience. The second great way, and this is an advanced way of using Chat GPT, is content creation. Now you're probably saying, well, Donna, that's not that advanced. We all know Chat GPT can help with content creation. But have you taken it a step further? Have you taken it a step further by talking about a strategy that is all talking to your targeted audience about relevant topics? This is when you can really start to talk with ChatGPT, but you could set up a series of emails that talk to that individual about what they're trying to accomplish. And then when you have those emails all scheduled out, you also set up banners that then will complement the email. You set it up in a nice sequence because, as we know, people are not going to respond to a one-off email. They might get the email, especially if you have a good subject line that's speaking directly to them, they will open up the email. But everyone's so busy, they probably will not click through. But when you do that, and it's in their head, they're like, oh, they have that company, I got to get back to them. But time goes on, their work goes on. So then what they do is you send a banner, and that kind of refresher, like, oh, that's right, you need to contact them. They had that great thing I wanted to bid in on, or they have that great webinar, I want to get there. I want to make sure I attend. This is so important for my industrial auction clients because people are registering later and later for auctions. People are registering later and later for webinars. So it can't be, oh, okay, 2 weeks out, we're going to do our promotion and that's it. That's not going to happen. 2 weeks out, yeah, make them aware of it. A week out, again. Oh, remember, this is coming up. These might be some topics you're going to be interested in. Look into these articles before you come. And then the day before, remember, tomorrow the auction starts, the webinar starts. People need those reminders, and they need them across several different channels. This way you're able to create that strategy, but you're creating content that really speaks to your target audience. Don't go in to a bio source and be talking about CNC equipment. You've got to make sure that you pinpoint your target audience by knowing your industry, knowing the titles, but then really whittling it down. Find out what states, what countries, what cities have the highest concentration of those people. Because then when you go to use external lists, pinpoint those heavily concentrated areas. That's going to help you save your marketing dollars. That is going to help you get a better response. We did this recently for one of our clients. We were really looking at their audience. We knew exactly the titles and we were getting very specific on that, like specific type of engineers in industries that would be interested in those pieces of equipment. Well, then we took it 2 steps further by putting in a size of a company, because we found out there definitely was a wheelhouse. The really, really big ones were not interested in what they had to offer, and the really, really small ones weren't interested in what they had to offer. So we started to pinpoint more like that 250 to 1,000 range, which helped us a great deal. And then we did that geo-targeting where we went into the heavily concentrated areas of those manufacturing companies, and we were able to see a massive increase in results. They went from getting like I'd say about a 3% click-through rate, and that's click from delivered, up to a 7%. Now, any of you know, when you're talking about emails, especially now, some people are like, oh, 1%. Well, 1%, if you're getting 1%, you really need to reevaluate things. A lot of times people will be in between 2 and 3. So those are just okay. I say anything above that free range, especially if you get into 5 or 6 or 7, those are great sources to use. And this is when you do that research on ChatGPT, you can go whittle it down. So when you're doing this content creating with them and you've whittled it down, that's when you could have a great piece that answers all the questions, but then change the piece up by specific titles. So as you go to those vendors for the lists, or whether you're doing it in-house, make sure you segment certain people together, and those people will get different messaging based on what's important to them. You can ask ChatGPT this. You put in the piece of content you have and you say, would a biomechanical engineer be interested in this? How can I make this email more responsive to a chemist? How can I make this more responsive for a laboratory director that's working in a university? There's little tweaky things that you can do to the piece that the individual feel, hey, they're talking to me and they're going to respond. So the first way, like we talked about, was just really researching and get your audience, have a good definition of who your audience is, get a good definition on your product and the industry that would want to buy your product. Where are they? What company size? What titles are they? And really find out. And then go deeper, like what topics are of interest to these people? What type of articles or what type of equipment are these biomechanical engineers looking for? Ask ChatGPT. And of course, as we mentioned in the basic one, everything Chat gives you, you've got to sit back and really look at the facts. Sometimes it's not going to be correct, but for the most part, I have seen it giving us some great ideas of things to look at. So look into it that. The second is for that creating content that's speaking directly to your target audience, which ChatGPT can do. And then 3, creating that cohesive marketing strategy. Now, you can even ask Chat, what would be a nice nurturing strategy to get this type of individual, and put the job title in there, to do this, whatever it might be. Register for an auction, register for a webinar, attend this professional education class, whatever it is, put those details in there. The more specific you are with ChatGPT, the better the results will be. And then they can set up that strategy by saying, you know what, Donna, that first week, let's just do an e-newsletter banner. The second week, let's have an email going out with a website banner. The third week, let's get some social media posts. And you can ask it, can you give me some examples of some good social media posts that will complement these email blasts? And I'll give it to you. Now, don't just copy and paste and throw it up. You've got to always make sure that what it creates, you tweak it so it sounds like your unique brand. It sounds like your unique voice. This is how you're going to be able to stand above the competition. Because when it comes down to you being you and your unique company, no one is your competition. There's nobody out there exactly like you. So tell your story, get your messaging out there, and then be consistent. You can't just throw out one email with hopes that you get enough people to register to buy your product. It doesn't work like that anymore. You can't send out even general promotions 3 times in a row and get the leads you want. No, now it's about building relationships. Now is about creating that value so that the individual sees you really know what you're talking about. They need your help. So use ChatGPT to create those integrating content strategies across different platforms that would complement each one of them so that they do better. The fourth thing that ChatGPT can do for you is, like we said, when you get to know and truly understand your audience, find out what industry publication has subscribers that match that specific industry, those specific criteria. This is going to help you figure out, who should I advertise with? Who should I do an email blast with? And what else it's going to show you is, if when you align yourself with these publishers and you find out what advertising, you can see what type of content they're writing about. These publishers have to do a lot of research to figure out what to write about, because if they don't keep their audience engaged, they lose subscribers, they lose advertisers, and they are no more. That is why, if you connect with some reputable industry publishers, you can really, and I hate to say it this way, but you can ride their coattails, because they're doing all the work for the research, really getting to know that that individual is in that specific space. This is totally different than when you go to a B2B data platform, or you use a compiled source, or you try to harvest the data yourself. Yeah, you could try to do that, but then you're starting from ground one here, where when you use these industry-specific publishers, the individual has already been vetted that it is an actual individual. They already have confirmed that they're interested in what this industry publication is about. And sometimes they can even tell you if they're looking for a specific piece of equipment, or whether they want more education on their industry. And then those are the people you target. Those are the people you can send an email blast to, or put up an e-newsletter banner in front of. And it's going to be responsive. When I work with some of these industry-specific publishers, and you better sit down because I don't think you're ready for this, some of the click-through rates that I get are 10 and 11%. And that is from the number delivered, not from the number opened. There's a difference. A 10 or 11%, which is phenomenal. Then you know, you have confidence that you are reaching the right audience. And this is also when, I know we all sit there at the end of a marketing campaign and say, well, how many leads did we get? And sometimes you don't get that number of leads, but when you align with these industry-specific sources and you know that these people are specifically in the industry that would be interested in what you have to offer, you can have confidence that you are getting some great branding. Not everybody is ready to buy as soon as they get that promotion. Sometimes they have to go talk to other people. If the equipment is expensive, it could be 6, 7 people involved in that decision making. There might be financing that you have to get together. So you can use your industry specific lists for that. We did this recently for a drug platform. They were trying to find very specific drug development individuals in a specific area, in a specific geo. We were able to go to some industry-specific publications that cover this topic, and we were able to match them up so that we sent emails directly to these people that were interested in what they had to offer. And people registered for the webinar. You can imagine if you had a drug platform and you're promoting a webinar, if you went out just generically to everyone who's in pharmaceutical manufacturing, yeah, you'll get some of the right people, but it won't be all of them. But if you pinpoint drug discovery people or drug development individuals, obviously you're going to get a higher response rate. And because we're actually going to real people, real emails, real people who are still alive, if you get my drift of what I'm talking about here. So utilize Chat GPT. These are just a few ways that we've implemented it with our clients. Test it out. Let me know how it works for you. Implement these stages. And as I mentioned once before, start small. Start with one thing. Start with just the research part. See if you can find out something different about your target audience you didn't know. Find out something that is top of mind for them. And slowly you start to put together that picture that's going to help you with everything you do. Whether you do external marketing and advertising or whether you're doing it internal, whether it's sales and marketing, whether it is business development of something new you're going to offer, that information will help you. So please go implement those 4 ways to use ChatGPT, starting with 1, research. Let us know how it goes. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you want additional help, please feel free to go to our website at worldinnovators.com. We do have a workshop coming up. We have a LinkedIn Live series where it's just 10 minutes every Wednesday, and it's going to go through each one of these ways of using ChatGPT, but in a little bit more detail. And if you have any questions specifically for me, please feel free to reach out to me, dpeterson at worldinnovators.com. For now, subscribe to the B2B Marketing Excellence Podcast. Please leave a comment. Please rate it if you can, because the more you rate and comment about the podcast gets this community together so that we can all talk and share ideas. Till next time. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the World Innovators B2B Marketing Excellence Podcast. If you'd like to be updated when new episodes come out, don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out our social media accounts to stay up to date on B2B marketing trends.